gotten me a little exhausted lately with recent beauty launches is that often we get like 5 of the same type of product from different brands all at once. It seems like every brand is releasing their own peptide lip balm or bronzing drops, and it starts to feel a little bit repetitive and overwhelming. But this inspired me to create a new video format that I'd love to turn into a series, if you like it, where I talk about the same product but from 3 different brands at 3 different price points, a save versus splurge, if you will. So this past week, I've been testing 3 different eyeshadow sticks. I've got the new Urban Decay Naked Eyeshadow Sticks, the Covergirl Clean Color Eyeshadow Sticks, as well as the Essence Blend and Line Sticks. Now, this is not about finding dupes. It's more about comparing their claims and performance so you can see which one checks most of your boxes and gives you the most bang for your buck. If you're new here, hi, my name is Miranda. I've been creating beauty videos here on YouTube since 2012. I'm so glad you found me now. Let's get into it. All right, let's start with the new Urban Decay Naked Eyeshadow Sticks. These just launched in 8 shades based on the original Naked palette. They are currently only available on the brand's website and at Ulta Beauty. They are $25 each. Now, most of these shimmers actually have bigger glitter sparkles in them besides the deepest one in Tasteful, and the mattes are super rich, super creamy. Now, the brand's claims for this product are waterproof, smudge proof, crease proof, and fade proof up to 16 hours. So with all of the shadow sticks I'm talking about today, I did want to test them both over primer and without eyeshadow primer. Here's the thing, historically, I've been able to wear long wear eyeshadow sticks without primer and have them kind of stay in place, but I feel like my eyelids are getting oilier as I get older. Has anyone else experience this? It's weird because like my skin's getting drier, but my eyes are getting oilier. Or like in general, maybe I'm getting just more combo. But I've noticed that some of my older go-to eyeshadow sticks that I used to be able to rely on to stay in place without primer, I'm starting to see more creasing happening now. So just something I've noticed. But anyway, let's start with how these apply by themselves with no primer. So I started with the shade Senescent, which is a deep matte brown. This would also work really well as eyeliner. And this definitely just glides onto the lid super easily with so much color payoff. Now, I always use my fingers to blend out eyeshadow sticks. I feel like that's part of the draw is that you don't really need brushes for these. And as you blend these out, you don't really lose a lot of pigmentation, but you can, reach a level of sheerness and blendability. However, they set so quickly. Yeah, it's been like 2 minutes and it's already completely set. I don't think I can blend it any more than this. You have to really work fast before these are set and they will not be budging. And then at that point, you're tugging on your lid, which obviously you don't want to do. But I was able to soften up the edges and maintain a pretty even layer of color. My primer for all of these tests were the e.l.f. Lock It Down Primer, my go-to right now. Now, the application of this eyeshadow stick over primer was a little bit of a different story. Much harder to blend over primer. It was more difficult to spread, and I feel like it set completely before I was able to blend the edges to my liking. So I ended up having to go in with a brush with a little concealer on it to help soften up the appearance. With that said, it definitely maintained more pigmentation, and I just wasn't able to really sheer this out much over primer. I decided to top this shade with the shimmer in Peach Bum. This is a pink champagne, and again, you're getting both shimmer and glitter in this shade. You can kind of see the bigger sparkles to this. This blended on top of both sides pretty seamlessly. I loved the end result. So this is what we were starting with at the beginning of the day. I did test these for 12 hours. Also, just a quick note, all of these eyeshadow sticks were tested on days where it reached at least 100 here in Vegas. And I was definitely seeing wear on both sides at this point in the day. I was getting slight creasing in the innermost corner of my eye in those fine lines in my lid. It wasn't crazy, but it was visible when I had my eyes closed. But on the side that I did prime, I got a little bit of fading, but no creasing at all. Everything still looked pretty fresh and even. Now I am gonna save all of my final thoughts on these eyeshadow sticks for the end of the video, so we are going to move on to the next. But first, if you haven't already and you are enjoying this video, I would love if you considered subscribing and turning on notifications. But if you're already part of the Slashed Squad, hey, nice to see ya. Hitting that thumbs up button helps YouTube show the video to more people. All right, let's get back to it. Next, I finally got around to trying the Covergirl Clean Color Eyeshadow Sticks. These came out about a year ago, but they are new to me. I have never tried them. Now these are about $9 to $12, depending on where you buy them. And there are 12 shades, but they are all shimmery. I personally only have these 3 in my collection, so I will show you these swatches. Now Covergirl says these are smudge proof and crease free, and that they last all day with no budging, fading, smearing, flaking, or transferring, but they don't give any like hour-long claims. Now these shimmers are not glitterily. Now these shimmers aren't glittery. Why can't I say that word? Now these shimmers aren't glittery like the Urban Decay ones. They are more of an even, almost like satin shimmer finish that I think looks really beautiful blended all over the lid. It's kind of got like built-in dimension. So again, I started applying the first shade to my lid without primer. This is the shade Mystic Maroon. These have a thinner feel than the Urban Decay formula, and they definitely have more wiggle room in terms of how long you have to blend them out. Plus they spread really easily. So I just found myself achieving my preferred look much more quickly. Yeah, that was incredibly easy to diffuse and sheer out all over the lid. But honestly, I think the shadow looked just as pigmented both with and without primer. It's only a little bit stiffer when applied over primer. I'm still able to blend it out and get softer edges. Now I topped this shade with Ballerina Blush. This blended well on top of that Mystic Maroon shade on both sides, and I absolutely loved this look. Now I also wore these for 12 hours, and while I don't really see much fading on either side, I did definitely see creasing on the non-primed eye. It was like both creasing as well as color migrating a bit, but on the side with primer, it still looked even. There was only the teensiest bit of fading, and I think if you weren't looking at the before and after, you wouldn't necessarily say, oh, this makeup is something she's been wearing all day. Like it didn't look super worn in. The last new eyeshadow sticks I tried were the Essence Blend Line Eyeshadow Sticks. These are a whopping $3.99 each. I own only 2 out of 5 shades in this collection, and all of the shades are shimmery. Now they call these an all-in-one shadow and eyeliner. However, I mean, they're still chubby eyeshadow sticks. I wouldn't necessarily use them like straight on my lid as eyeliner, but these are sharpenable, so you can get that tip a bit sharper if you did want to do it. I think it would still come out kind of chubby though. I think a more practical way to use this as an eyeliner would be to pick up product on a brush and apply it that way. In that case, you can do that with any eyeshadow stick. But like I said, you actually do use a sharpener with these versus the other 2 that I mentioned, which are retractable. Now the brand makes 0 claims about the performance of this product. Nothing about wear time, nothing about performance, although they are labeled long lasting on the actual stick, but that's it, that's all we get. So I started by applying Feeling Leafy straight to my lid. They describe this as a bright green. I would say it's more of an olive. And right off the bat, this formula is definitely more sheer than the other 2 eyeshadow sticks. Especially blended out, it really just looked like a hint of green, so I did end up going back in and deepening up the color a little bit. It did layer, but I found it a little difficult to get even coverage just because it sort of maintained a bit of sheerness to it. And I did find that over primer, especially trying to work in 2 layers, it was just a little hard for me to get an even application. You can see here the green does look stronger on the primed side, but I think it just looks a little patchy. Now I topped this off with the shade Copper Feels. This is a warm gold shimmer. And this definitely helped the overall appearance come together because the patchiness of the green was not as obvious. And I thought that this look actually came out pretty nice. But I did not test these as long as the other 2 because I could see what I needed to see earlier in the day. These absolutely crease on me. They did not stand a chance against my lids. They do actually still look decent on the side with primer. A little bit of unevenness, but it started uneven from the get-go. The thing is, I really think that these are meant to be used a little bit differently. I think these are meant to be applied as a single shade all over lid color and kept on the sheerer side versus building them up. Actually, today I only used the copper shade all over the lid, blended that out over primer, and I think it looks great applied in this way, just for something easy and subtle to add to the eye. So these could work as an everyday, simple swipe and go type product. All right, let's highlight the differences between these lines, starting with the Urban Decay Naked Eyeshadow Sticks. In this line, you're only going to get neutral shades, but you do get that variety in finish. I personally like using a matte shade and then a shimmer in the middle, as you saw. I did find them probably the hardest to blend blend, but I also think that they lasted the longest, staying looking even unprimed. The creasing was the most minimal out of these three. If you don't have super oily lids, then you can most likely wear these on their own without primer. And honestly, that's something that I would probably do anyway. If I knew that I didn't need my makeup look to last 12 hours or I wasn't going to be sweating profusely, then I would probably be fine skipping primer with these. With the other two, not so much. These are also the only sticks out of the three that claim waterproof status. Okay, CoverGirl, no mattes in this line, but I kind of prefer the shimmer finish of these over the shimmer finish in the Urban Decay sticks. Just because they don't have those chunkier sparkles, I think that it's a much more, well, clean look when blended all over the lid. No pun intended. Now, even if you only have slightly oily lids, I do think that primer is going to be a must with these. But I think the performance for the price was really good. And this line does have more shade options in terms of colors. There are pinks, there are berries, there are purples. So a little bit more variety in this line. Now with the Essence Blend Line Eyeshadow Sticks, these are a little bit of a toss-up for me. I think these could be a really good and very budget-friendly option if you know what you're getting into. I think that they really should be kept as like single layer washes of color on the lid. But also keep in mind that you do need a jumbo pencil sharpener to sharpen these. They do not twist up at all. In fact, let's go ahead and test out the sharpenability. That's not something that I've actually tried out yet. I have my Urban Decay Grindhouse sharpener. This is like my holy grail pencil sharpener. Here's before. Oh. It sharpens very easily, y'all. I'm happy because you never know with these like plastic feeling outer pencils if it's gonna end up cracking or becoming like spiky, but no, it still looks very smooth and that was super easy. I'm gonna do it some more. Yeah, no catching at all. Awesome. So there's after. And with both the CoverGirl and Urban Decay sticks, they are twist up and there are no sharpeners built in. Sometimes you'll find, and I don't know why these ones do, the Urban Decay bottoms come off, and with some eyeshadow sticks that I've seen, the bottoms will have a little sharpener in them that you can kind of twist to get this to be a pointy sort of liner shape. The bottoms of the Urban Decay ones come off, but there's nothing inside of them. And then the CoverGirl ones twist up from the middle and the bottoms don't come off for any reason. All of these eyeshadow sticks are both cruelty-free and vegan, so those boxes are checked across the board. Now, out of these three options, I probably see myself using the Urban Decay ones the most, purely because of their performance, but the CoverGirl ones are a very close second because of the shade options on top of the price being like nearly half or more. Now, I did want to share a quick smudge test. All right, so I have the three shadow sticks from this video over here on the left. I have a matte and a shimmer from Urban Decay, and then one from the Essence line and from the CoverGirl line. I did decide to add some more to this smudge test just for comparison out of some of the other shadow sticks I've had in my collection. So I have a matte and a shimmer from the Maybelline Color Tattoo shadow stick line, a shimmer from the L'Oreal Lay shadow stick line, a shimmer shadow sticks from ColourPop, and then one of the Milani Gilded eyeshadow sticks. All right, let the smudge test commence. All right. Definitely seeing some wear on this Urban Decay matte. The shimmer's still pretty solid, but the shimmer's also spread. Like I do see those bigger glitter particles that I think came off of this one. The Essence one faded a bit, but doesn't look too bad. The CoverGirl one definitely faded. That looks pretty patchy now. Maybelline Color Tattoo, that is hanging in there. The L'Oreal shadow stick, that spread the most actually. That actually looks smudged. The ColourPop one is looking mighty faded. The Milani color is solid, but the shimmer definitely spread around. So there's a comparison to other shadow sticks that you may already have in your collection, so that way you can keep that in mind as well when deciding, do you really need another one from a different brand? So now that we've reached the end, which of these eyeshadow sticks do you think checks the most boxes for you? Would you save or would you splurge? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. If you want to keep watching, join me over in this video next where I share game-changing makeup tips I wish I knew sooner. I'll see you over there. Bye.